Welcome to the Explainer. Today we are taking a plain functional mobile app and giving it a massive professional visual makeover. We're going to be diving deep into the techniques laid out in Phase 4 of the complete Flutter and Dart manual, which is all about styling and media. If you've ever found yourself wondering exactly how top-tier apps get those beautiful photos, sleek custom fonts, and super crisp icons, well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it.
Okay, here is our renovation blueprint for today. We'll start with local images and the customs form, then move to network images, which we'll call the Amazon delivery. After that, custom fonts and typography, followed by Flutter icons, and we'll wrap up with designing user input forms.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, local images and the customs declaration.
So bringing a local image into Flutter is kind of like packing a suitcase. You're taking physical assets, like, say, a high-quality photo of a hotel room, and bundling them right inside the app before the user even downloads it. The huge perk here? It's incredibly fast, and it works perfectly offline. But you can't just drag and drop a photo wherever you feel like it. You've got to follow a very specific 3-step procedure. Build the suitcase, pack the image, and then declare it to the system so it doesn't crash your app.
Take a look at this precise folder structure. You need to create a master folder called Assets, and right inside that, an Images folder. This is exactly where you place your file, let's just call it hotel_room.jpg, safely tucked away. Getting this organization right is absolutely crucial before we move on to the next, very strict step.
Because before Flutter actually allows that photo onto your screen, you have to get past a famously strict customs agent. I'm talking about the pubspec.yaml file. Think of this file as your master shopping list and a customs declaration form all rolled into one. If an item isn't explicitly declared on this list, Flutter will literally confiscate it and crash your app. It feels a bit unforgiving at first, but honestly, it keeps everything perfectly secure.
Now here is where things get really picky. Notice this fatal indentation rule. YAML files don't use brackets or semicolons. They rely entirely on spaces. You literally must use exactly 2 spaces before the word assets and exactly 4 spaces before the dash that lists your file path. And here's a massive warning for you. Never, ever use the tab key. Just use the spacebar. Seriously, formatting here is quite literally a matter of life and death for your code.
Phew, okay. Once your image is legally declared and inside the app, you need to actually style it. By default, an image is just a sharp, rigid square that might stretch out weirdly if you force it into a specific layout. So we use a widget called ClipRect. Think of it like a cookie cutter that slices off those sharp corners to give you premium, rounded edges. Then you throw in boxfit.cover to make absolutely sure the image perfectly fills its designated box without squishing or distorting.
But wait a second. Packing a few backgrounds into the suitcase is one thing. What if you're building a massive hotel booking app? If you pack 10,000 high-resolution photos into that local suitcase, your app turns into a monstrous 10-gigabyte download. And let's be real, absolutely nobody is going to download that.
Which brings us perfectly to part 2, network images, or what I like to call the Amazon delivery.
To solve that massive weight problem, we use network images. If local assets are like packing a heavy suitcase, using image.network acts exactly like ordering an Amazon delivery. You don't pack the heavy photos, you just write down their web address. When the user opens the app, it dynamically orders the image right from the internet. This brilliantly keeps your final app size incredibly tiny, though of course the trade-off is that it does rely on an active internet connection to deliver those graphics. See that brief loading phase? That split second is literally your lightweight app waiting for the image delivery truck to arrive from the internet. The moment it gets there, Flutter seamlessly renders it and your users get a gorgeous, high-res photo without sacrificing all the storage space on their phones. It's a total win-win.
Let's keep moving. Part 3, custom fonts and luxury typography.
Now that our images are sorted, let's paint the walls, so to speak. We're going to swap out those boring default system fonts for a luxury typography style. Default fonts are fine when you're just prototyping, but a custom font is what makes an app feel premium. Just like our local images, we grab TrueType font files, like Montserrat from Google Fonts, pack them into a fonts folder inside our suitcase, and you guessed it, declare them with that incredibly strict spacing in our pubspec.yaml customs form.
But here is the absolute magic trick of this whole process. Instead of manually changing the font on every single piece of text across hundreds of screens, which would take forever, you just drop this single line of code into your app's main starting point.
This global theme instantly transforms every single word in your entire application to your new luxury font all at once. It's a real game changer.
All right, part 4, Flutter icons, aka the rubber stamp.
Next up, we add some visual decorations using Flutter's built-in material icon library. Now, it's absolutely vital to understand that icons behave very differently from the standard photograph we just talked about. Look closely at this comparison. If you take a standard raster photograph and stretch it to be massive, it becomes horribly blurry and pixelated. But a vector icon acts exactly like a rubber stamp. Because it's drawn using pure math, it remains perfectly crisp and sharp no matter how massive you make it on the screen.
Understanding the code for this is actually super simple once you grasp the difference between singular and plural here. Singular icon is the physical Lego brick you place onto your screen. Plural icons is the massive Google Catalog book that you pick the specific design from. And the best part? You can completely change the scale or dip that stamp into any digital ink color with just one simple line of code.
Finally, part 5, designing user input forms and text fields. By default, when you ask a user for input, it's just a confusing blank gray line. We are turning that into a gorgeous, highly functional user data form. By leveraging the input decoration tools, you can radically upgrade your text fields with floating labels that elegantly move out of the way when clicked, vector icons for visual cues, and super clean borders. Now here's a crucial warning for beginners. If you are building a login screen and want to hide passwords with those little dots, you must place the obscure text true command directly inside the text field itself, completely outside of the decoration wrapper. Don't mix those up.
And there we have it. You've just built a beautifully styled visual masterpiece. You've got local and network images, luxury fonts, crisp vector icons, and totally professional input forms. But a pretty face isn't quite enough, right? Because right now, your app basically has amnesia. How do we give this beautiful design a functioning memory? How do we capture that user input and permanently save it? Well, that is a fascinating challenge that we'll uncover in our next explainer.